After making my first redesign video of Miraculous Ladybug, many of you requested a part 2, so here it is! Also, if you haven't seen part 1, I recommend watching it first for more context. The link is in my description. Working on these redesigns has been really fun. A comment even suggested I make a fan comic, and now I'm planning on it. I've already written a script that rewrites the origin episodes, and I've had some help from another YouTuber, Suits and Boots. You should definitely check out their channel, and when I say you can, I mean you must. Maybe I'm motivated to create this comic because I've spent 8 years loyally watching the show only to be let down by the finale. It really hurts! And if you're thinking the movie was an apology, something to heal the hole in my heart, well, it was more like a band-aid on a huge wound. It wasn't enough. The movie had its own charm, but fell far short of perfect. I'm not saying my comic will be flawless, but I am aiming for something close to it. That's why I need a team. If you're interested in helping with the comic, whether as an extra writer or with art assistance, please contact me on Discord. So sit back, relax, and please let me ramble. As you already know from the thumbnail and my part 1 video, I'm completely getting rid of Moth. His entire design is a mess. The writers can't seem to decide whether Nooroo represents a moth or butterfly Miraculous. Even the wiki says the terms are interchangeable, yet the Miraculous clearly uses butterflies, not moths. So why is Gabriel's supervillain name based on a moth? And then when he becomes more powerful, he changes his name to Monarch after a butterfly. So instead of Moth, I've decided to change his name to Purple Emperor, which is the design you're seeing now. Why Purple Emperor? Well, it's a rare kind of butterfly that avoids flowers and prefers to eat feces, mud, human sweat, and even rotting corpses. That's what caught my attention. It feels like a perfect fit for a supervillain. A lot of Miraculous fans, including myself, have wondered if the butterfly Miraculous was created for evil, despite the show stating all the Miraculouses are meant for good. The butterfly's powers seem more suited for villainy, given that Moth only senses negative emotions and brainwashes people into becoming villains. They don't even remember their actions once Ladybug and Cat Noir free them. I wanted to clear that up in my rewrite, and I'll give the show some credit. They addressed this in the Ladybug and Claw Noir special with Butterfly. In that episode, we finally saw the butterfly Miraculous used for good. Butterfly senses positive emotions like Alya's determination and asks for her consent in using the power. It shows there's more of a choice involved. Moth, on the other hand, doesn't offer genuine consent. Sure, he asks, but we've seen him force people into becoming his puppets. There is no real choice with him like there is with Butterfly. In my rewrite, the butterfly Miraculous senses emotions in general, but Purple Emperor chooses people with negative emotions because they're easier to manipulate. Now, if you're wondering whether Purple Emperor will be a smarter villain than Moth, well, kinda. I still plan for him to make some dumb decisions. However, in this universe, Nooroo will be the real mastermind. Purple Emperor will be a greater threat due to Nooroo's influence. But when Gabriel refuses to listen to Nooroo because he's afraid of him but wants to appear like he's still in control, his plans will be pretty weak. In this rewrite, Nooroo is evil. Some Kwamis are good and some are bad in this universe. Suits and Boots rewrote the Kwami lore, so before I dive deeper into Nooroo, here's the new lore.
In the beginning, there was nothing. Only an uncreated, howling abyss. Even it could not remain eternal. Out of the abyss was born an existence. Jimmy, the silkworm, the viewer of reality. The surrounding void was an insult to Jimmy, for they were a creature. Raising their hands, they released thousands of threats and began the act of creation. Non-beings start to fill as stars come into existence, forming galaxies. In this beauty, everything seemed perfect. But the abyss was not outside the deity. It was inside them. The stars were silent, and the entity stood motionless, consumed by loneliness. In all the universe, Jimmy could not find another. So they split into two, so that one would live eternally alongside the other. Fate would bring them together, no matter how far apart they were. One of creation, the other destruction. Tikki and Plague, created in a desire they craved entertainment. However, their understanding of pleasure differed. plug devoted himself to destruction, while Tikki, in a contrast, loved the universe and refused to let it turn into dust. She spoke out, defending Jimmy creation. From the divine thought, two more powerful emotions arose: pollen, responding to action, and ways to protection. The arrival reconciled the opposing views and inspired the discovery of new frontiers, leading to the creation of more and more Kwamis. Those new beings, however, grew paler and lost distincts as more were made. Their aspects blurred, with grey standing beside perfection and care beside protection. At first, it wasn't a significant issue, but over time, tension rose as conflicts erupted. How could a deity accept someone so much like them, yet so different? More aspects emerged, increasingly derivative of chaos, bad luck, and destruction. Tensions thickened, but creation could not be undone. Jimmy was forced to reveal themselves again, tightening their threats and commanding the Kwamis to calm down. Some, particularly those representing negative emotions, resisted, but with the aid of minor deities, the threat was quelled. A final symphony occurred on planet Earth from the combined powers of the Kwamis. New life, human beings, was born. Their fragile existence both enchanted and delusioned the deities. Humans sought to understand the fate that governed their lives. Alongside humanity, new divine entities arose, embodying traits such as memory, stupidity, injustice, and cunning. But the Kwamis were not content to merely observe humanity. They longed to become a part of it. Unaware of the consequences, they gave themselves to humans, crafting their own prisons. Those prisons took the form of candles, which appealed deeply to human nature. Upon contact with these candles, the Kwamis appeared in small, endearing forms, easily accepted by mortals. Trapped within pieces of jewelry, they became shadows of their former selves. Yet, even in this dismissed state, their power was enough to influence humans. More than once, the Kwamis served noble purposes, but just as often they fell into the hands of madmen, eager to wield their power for selfish ends. Behind those scenes, a mortal man, a sorcerer from China, sought to help the Kwamis in their quest to integrate with human life. To keep them united, he constructed a mother box, a pocket dimension, where they could rest. The deities exploited this opportunity and, unnoticed by the wizard, borrowed human objects for those who could not enter the mortal realm. As the time passed, living with their human owners, the Kwamis felt their wills considered. Their physical forms could be manipulated with a mere gesture, leaving them powerless to resist. A sense of helplessness overwhelmed them, exposed to the world evils. Some Kwamis grew proud and resentful, yearning to break free from their prisons and reclaim their true nature. Yet many remained content, preferring to stay with their human companions, eager to explore the depths of human nature. As Mips has already mentioned, Nooroo is evil in this universe. He's a part of a group of Kwamis that wants to break away from humans. When Gabriel first uses the Miraculous, he asks Nooroo what the most powerful one is. Nooroo actually responds by telling him that many Miraculouses have turned out to be more powerful than expected. He uses his own power as an example, explaining that if the holder has enough imagination or creativity, Nooroo could grant any power they desire, with just one butterfly. However, if the holder lacks that vision, the power is useless. Nooroo was trying to tell Gabriel that he could use the butterfly Miraculous to grant his wish of bringing Emily back. But because Gabriel is so fixated on finding the most powerful Miraculous to grant his wish directly, Nooroo's explanation goes over his head, and Gabriel demands to know which Miraculous is the strongest. Irritated, Nooroo claims himself and tells Gabriel about the wish he could make using the ladybug and cat Nooroo Miraculouses. He then allows Purple Emperor to create chaos, hoping the two heroes will show up. Nooroo doesn't believe the plan will work, though he thinks it is terrible. But because he doesn't know where Ladybug and Cat Nooroo are, he lets Gabriel continue to create chaos, finding it entertaining since he hates humans and enjoying watching their world burn. However, when Ladybug and Cat Nooroo actually show up, Nooroo shifts his gears. He wants to help Gabriel steal their Miraculouses, but secretly plans to double-cross him. Nooroo's true goal is to make a wish of his own, to restore the Kwami former power and allow them to control humans.
If you watched part 1, you know I originally wanted Tikki to have toxic positivity, similar to how she already is in the original show, but in this universe, I plan to highlight the negative effects of it on Marinette. However, I decided to change that. Instead, Tikki is no longer overly positive. She's now much stricter and harsher on Marinette, which also has negative effects on her. The reason for this change is rooted in Tikki's past. She once exhibited toxic positivity and it ended up harming one of her previous holders. Tikki was so traumatized by that experience that she overcompensated, becoming more rigid and harsh in an attempt to prevent it from happening again. But she doesn't realize that she's still acting too extreme and is toxic, just in a different way. Over time, Tikki will develop as a character throughout the comic, eventually learning to strike a balance between being positive and negative. I wanted to change my art style for the comic. Originally, I intended to use my cartoon art style, the same one you saw for the Purple Emperor redesign and the one you'll soon see I used for Lila's redesign. However, I don't always enjoy drawing line art. Sometimes I do, but drawing it constantly burns me out because I just want to dive into the coloring and rendering. That's why I created a new art style for the comic, and I really like it. Using this style has helped me improve and better understand different eye shapes, head shapes, noses, and lips, elements that are important in any art style. Unfortunately, my cartoon art style is heavily stylized, which often results in repetitive noses and face shapes. Also, sorry if the characters look like they're staring into your soul. I wanted them to have neutral expressions so I could clearly see their designs as references. I couldn't draw all of them because I got tired. I also haven't redesigned Nino and Sabrina yet. So here's a reminder, if you want to join my team for the comic or have any ideas to share, you can DM me on Discord, and if you don't have any ideas, please like and subscribe to support me. By the way, Chloe's skin tone will be changed. She was pointing out that she looks like she had jaundice. But by the time I realized it was too late to change it because I had merged all the layers. So when I draw her in the comic, rest assured I'll give her a more orange tint instead of a yellow one. I also made the same mistake with Lila, and I was planning to fix it when I redraw her in the comics art style, but I got tired, so yeah, it's still incomplete for now and maybe I'll finish it someday. Speaking of Lila, her character is as much of a mess as Moth's. When she was first introduced, she was a strong character, but the writing ruined her by making her lies work only because the other characters lost their brain cells. It also ruined Alya's character. In my redesign, Lila would definitely be a more convincing liar, and she would still become the next holder of the Butterfly Miraculous. In part 1, I mentioned that Chloe wouldn't be Marinette's bully anymore. She would still dislike Marinette because her mom constantly compares her to her, but she never bullies her in this universe. I also mentioned that Marinette is super popular in this redesign, partly because she works as Gabriel's apprentice. But 2 years ago, she wasn't popular. Lila briefly transferred to their school and bullied Marinette viciously. She even teamed up with Kim to prank Marinette. The reason Lila was out to get her is because Lila is Marinette's half-sister, Tom's daughter. Tom didn't know about Lila because he and her mom had a bitter breakup, and her mom lied to Lila, telling her that her father had abandoned them. Lila, still wanting to know about her dad, searched for him using the little information her mom had shared. When she found him, she was enraged to see he had the perfect family and treated Marinette like a princess. I also wanted to explain how Lila manages to have multiple identities. The show hasn't explained how she can have so many moms who are unaware of each other, or how she's able to enroll in different schools under different names. Given the show's track record, I expect they'll explain it with the other characters losing their brain cells again. In my version, Lila's real name is Cerise Bianca. Her mother had to put her up for adoption when she was 12 because she was too ill and couldn't provide for her. The woman who adopted Cerise changed her name to Lila Rossi, so most people know her by that name, but to her sick mother, she's still known as Cerise. Kim was already a jerk in the original, but he never faced any consequences for it. In my redesign, he does. He cruelly rejected Marnette when they were younger, but after she became famous, he suddenly became interested in her. Marnette, however, hates him and is passive-aggressive towards him, rather than lashing out because of her public image. I got the idea from a comment I received. I didn't think Kim deserved Undine. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. So in my rewrite, Undine isn't interested in Kim, it's the other way around. She's actually the one who motivates him to become a better person. Suits and Boost envisioned Kim following alpha male podcasters' advice, hoping it would help him win Marnette's affection, which is why he's dressed this way. It's only when he stops listening to those podcasters and becomes a better person that he returns to wearing sportier clothes, which is what he truly likes. This is unrelated, but while reading through my comments, I saw this one. I'm sobbing. I wanted Max to look more like a cool nerd since he's friends with Kim, and Suit and Boots definitely delivered. At first, I wanted him to have some 80s or 90s nerd influences because his hairstyle was given that era, but apparently he was already inspired by the 80s or 90s, and yeah, I scrapped that idea. Here's a rough drawing of Alya's redesign. I wanted her to look like a modern detective, very professional, very cutesy, very demure. I won't go over her full redesign since I already discussed it in part 1, so please check that out. However, I have a small update. After rewatching the origin episodes for my script, I saw this scene.
Talk, Moth. No matter how long it takes, we will find you, and you will hand us your Miraculous!
It seems like Ladybug got amnesia after that because she never tried to uncover his identity afterward. And no, the resistance doesn't count. Since Alya will be working with Ladybug and Cat Noir as the holder of the horse Miraculous, by the way, thanks to everyone who suggested superhero names for her, I decided to go with Equinus. In my redesign, Alya will be the one leading the efforts to uncover Purple Emperor's identity. Thank you for staying this long. Please like and subscribe to become a Mipsy. It has been scientifically proven that when you become one, good things happen to you. Don't believe me? Try it right now.